Howdy YouTube, a really cool review for you today, and that's because we're taking a look at the Irwin Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So a bit of background, if you haven't seen the other reviews on my channel, you know I am a big Dragon Ball Z fan. In particular, as a kid, I grew up really in the peak of Dragon Ball Z, at least in the West, which was sometime after it hit its peak in Japan. But Super Saiyan 3 Goku was the Goku. It didn't get any better than that. We're discounting, obviously, Dragon Ball GT. That was the pinnacle. And I always wanted to get my hands on a Super Saiyan 3 Goku. As a kid, was never able to do it. As I sort of grew up a little bit, I got rid of all my Dragon Ball Z figures. I remember selling them for just nothing, really almost giving them away and kicking myself. And now going back in hindsight, I regret that decision because these things do fetch quite a lot on the collector's market. They are hard to find. One thing I like about this is that, as you can see in the top there, as seen on Cartoon Network and Toonami, I used to love watching Dragon Ball Z. Cartoon Network, they used to air the movies. A lot of times, though, they put the movies on late because they were a lot more adult than the actual show itself. But Dragon Ball Z, one of my great childhood memories. Dragon Ball Super, I think is super disappointing. I'm not a fan of that series so far. From the looks of it, they're going back, and from what I've heard as well. I've only watched the first 2 episodes, which are the only 2 that have been dubbed. But from what I've heard, they go back and retell the story of the Dragon Ball Z movies that have come out in the last couple of years. And that, to me, is just a huge waste of time. Anyway, back to the figure. Comes in the retro Irwin-style packaging. Irwin, of course, had the Dragon Ball Z license and then went out of business, and Jakks acquired it. And Jakks basically re-released a lot of these figures. Looking at it, you'd think it was a really old figure. And it is, but for its day, it was pretty solid. Some cool accessories as well that we'll get into. Series 6, let's take a look at the back of the packaging. I love the psychedelic color scheming on it. Other figures in the set, we have Trunks, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, who we have here, a dodgy looking Piccolo, the Freezer I had, and I know for a fact I did not sell this guy. I have him somewhere buried in a chest of toys at maybe my grandparents' house or somewhere. Every time I go there, I look for this guy because he was one of my favorite figures as a kid. Vegeta, Gotenks, the Broly I have reviewed on my channel, check that out. Vegito, take a look at the difference, Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and then like steroid Brock Lesnar Goku. I'm not sure what's going on there, and I had that Goku as well. That was a pretty cool figure. So, upside down exclamation mark, coleccionelos todos. Si venda cada un por separado. Figures sold separately. There we go, 1999. Takes me back. Let's get this opened up and out of packaging. Honestly, you have no idea how much this takes me back. A huge moment from my childhood. I really love this figure. It is really cool. It has aged surprisingly well. A lot of these figures back in the day were used with certain types of paint that generally were pretty cheap and faded over the years. This has not had that problem. The arms haven't gone that pasty white. The paint on this guy actually looks really good. I'll bring it forward so you can take a look at the face. I think they did a really good job. I think they nailed it. I think it does look like Goku. Great Super Saiyan face scan. Loving the hair. Very 90s mullet-ish. And it is pretty substantial. It is very hard as well. You can see where they have like the normal Super Saiyan hair and they've just glued the extra bit. I kind of like that. He has a halo, so obviously this is towards the end of his run when he's fighting Boo. It is a cool looking figure. Now, as like most of the figures from this era, it is almost like a statue. Articulation, you only have a swivel head and swivel arms. I'm trying to see, there is a swivel in the waist, and that's about it. And really, that's all you got. Later on, we did get some knee articulation, but that didn't come for quite a bit of time. Overall, a great looking figure. I'll bring in some of the other ones I've got just so you guys can see how he stacks up. Just for comparison, here he is with some of the different versions of Goku. You can see what I mean about the knee articulation coming in, a little bit later, and then a newer Dragon Ball Z figure as well. Out of the 3, which is my favorite, I think it's this one. This one definitely has more articulation and looks like Goku, but the face scan on this is cool, and Super Saiyan 3 is pretty boss. I don't know. The face on this one I really don't like, and the skin color I think is off. But there's just a comparison of some of the other Goku figures I have, and who can forget adorable Dragon Ball GT baby Goku. And let's never speak of that again. Now, I just wanted to show you guys this just so you get an idea of the difference in the figures. Here we have 3 Irwin figures. You can see the scaling on them. They fit perfectly well. Goku is a little bit taller than Vegeta, which makes sense, and the Frieza has his knees bent, so he's not obviously towering over them. Everything stacks up. Then you see the difference with some of the Jax figures. Obviously, the Omega Shenron towers over the Irwin figures. The Jax Ginyu is a lot bigger too, and the Jax Cell, again, is another size up. Here is the Jax Piccolo, quite a bit taller than Goku, and then of course we have Baby, who towers over them as well. So there you go, just I guess the evolution of the Dragon Ball Z figures, just so you can see a bit of scaling and how the figures progress. He definitely doesn't look out of place, and he is a really cool figure to add to any Dragon Ball Z collection. Overall, this is a really cool figure. I'm really happy I was able to find him and add him to my collection. He is somewhat expensive on eBay, but most Dragon Ball Z figures are. I was lucky enough, I picked this up at my local figure shop for 25 bucks. So brand new for what he is. I am really happy with that. He looks great. In terms of the halo, I was hoping you could take it off. You probably can, but I'm not going to just because I don't want to wreck the figure. But it does look great. Great face scan. For what it is, there's a lot of nostalgia value there. Highly recommended if you're a Dragon Ball Z fan. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review on the Irwin Dragon Ball Z Super Saiyan 3 Goku.